Hi and welcome back to my channel. I am Koala. I am a shamanic practitioner mainly within Nordic shamanism, and this is my little nook in this end of the universe that we call YouTube. I also have a little nook on Patreon, so if you want to support me over there, please go to the description box and check the link out. So in this video I'm gonna talk about the goddess Hel in Nordic tradition or Nordic mythology. And in this video I'm gonna start off by just talking about her. I'm gonna answer the question, who is she? And then I'm gonna go on to talk about my relationship with this goddess. And then I'm gonna talk about how I celebrate her Eve, that is on the 31st of October. And then I'm gonna thank you for being here. I'm also gonna mention the goddess ceremonies a little towards the end of this video, but there will be another video with this topic when we close in on the start date for those ceremonies. So let's get into this video. So this goddess is most commonly associated with death. She is the ruler of the underworld Helheim, which is basically Hel's home. That's the translation of it. So it is her realm. It is. And so she is most commonly associated with death. She is the death goddess of the Nordic tradition. But she's just as much life as she's death. The most common depiction of her is with one side of her face all rotten to the bone. Really, really disgusting. And the other side of her face is alive and vital, and it's blossoming and blooming, and it's just the most beautiful face that you've ever laid your eyes upon. Those are her two sides. So her name is actually the word for whole in Swedish. So Hel means whole, but it's also the half of the word of healing. So helande is the Swedish word. Making whole is how you would describe that word in Swedish. This is the goddess of life and death, and she resides in Helheim, and where she takes care of the people that has passed over. So when you die, you go to Helheim, and you can do this in a number of different ways, but I'm not going to talk about those today. I have mentioned some of them while I've talked about Ran and her 9 daughters, and I think I mentioned it when I talked about Freya in May, because there are different gods and goddesses that reap the dead and choose where they're gonna go. So some people that die go to Helheim and go to see Hel and be with her. And then what happens after that? That is a topic for another video, what happens when you die. So when I talk about the goddesses in this series, I don't like to go too deep into who they are, because in my opinion the relationship you have with these goddesses and gods that I'm probably going to talk about next year is more important than what they stand for and what they are known for. It's like with people, you could be known for one thing that you did in your life, but you are more than that, right? So that is kind of how I view these goddesses. Each and every one of the goddesses that I talk about in this series is a face of the goddess. So the goddess that we talk about and that we honor has different sides to her. Just like the cosmos is the cosmos, but also have different realms and different aspects and different energies, right? And I am a whole person, but I'm also someone's son, I'm also someone's partner, I'm also someone's teacher, I'm also someone's, there are so many sides to me. I like to do 100 different things, and being Koala Mosmone and being a shamanic practitioner is one side of me. So just like any god or goddess have more sides to them, and those are the sides that we get to know when we form a relationship with them. Hi, editing Koala here. I just wanted to come in here and let you know that I forgot to mention that Hel was once upon a time in Sweden the same as the Earth Mother. So really the bringer of life and the bringer of death. The whole cycle of life is what she stood for back in the day, and she still does. She's not as connected to or seen as the same as the Earth Mother, because today we kind of work a lot with the Earth Mother and the Sky Father as well, but originally we worked with Hel for both life and death. So just wanted to let you know that. Back to the video. So my relationship with this goddess started in 2011 when I had a near-death experience. I did have a somewhat of a, you know, relationship with her before that as well, because I've always walked this path, but it was then that I really felt like I connected to her during that experience and really bonded and sealed my relationship with her, and also chose to dedicate my life to some of the work that relates to her. And some of that work is through being a medium between the dead and the living, being a medium between different types of entities, or just like being, sometimes I'm a bit of a, I don't want to say death doula, but yeah, because I have helped so many animals go over the Rainbow Bridge, and I have followed that that process very closely so many times in my work with animals, and it's for a while it felt like every animal that came my way had either experienced a great loss and was grieving and actually, you know, processing their relationship with death. You might not think that animals do that, but of course they do when they lose someone, especially when it happens quickly and unpredictably. Or that they had some kind of illness, or that they were closing in on death, they were old or sick or something like that. Most often it was that they had lost someone, or they had a loved one that was going through something, and I was helping them in this process. So I've dedicated a lot of my life towards working with death in a way, because I've worked with it with animals, but I've also briefly worked with it with people, and I'm still a medium between the living and the dead, even though I don't take on those jobs that often anymore. But there was a time in my life where that was it felt like it was all I did. Yeah, so that is kind of my relationship with Hel is on a daily basis. It's me walking a path alongside of the concept of death and the concept of life, the concept of rebirth, the concept of transformation. And I believe in transformation a great deal. I believe in our power to transform ourselves and to go through transformation and coming out the other side. And I'm never gonna say stronger, better, more resilient, because that's not what it's about. For me, transformation is not about becoming, overcoming something and overcoming obstacles and then making us better and stronger. That is a language I don't really enjoy. I was raised with that language, like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and that's BS. That's BS. We are strong from the beginning. that's why we when we go through things, we come out the other side at all, you know. It's our strength that carries us forward. So I believe in a transformation being something that you go through to integrate parts of yourself, or explore parts of yourself, or accept parts of yourself, or it's about working with yourself and becoming another version, or you know, becoming you more. That's what my transformations have always been about, to get to know other parts of myself, dive deep into them, dive into parts of the universe that I have inside of me as well as you do, and to come out of that, you know, with a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more experience, and wisdom. So, and sometimes strength, but it's not about gaining strength along the way, you know. So now that I've talked about my relationship with Hel in my daily life, I'm going to talk about my relationship with her this time of year, because on the 31st of October I celebrate Hel's Eve. So how do I celebrate Hel's Eve? Well, I honor her, and I also take this opportunity to dive deeper into my relationship with her. So I do that by making space for her in my home and in my life, and inviting her in different ways. And you can invite Hel just by inviting death into your apartment or house or living situation. And inviting death for me doesn't mean that I'm inviting the reaper to reap away, you know, to take away. I'm not inviting the Valkyries to leave here with someone's soul or someone's, you know, no one's gonna die because I invite death into my place. I mean that I invite death and the concept of death and everything that death stands for, and everything that we could gain a lot from getting to know and dive deeper into, to release any fears that we have. So in the world of Hel and Helheim lives our anxieties about death, and our existential crisis and existential anxieties, and mainly fears around death. There's another world called Niflheim where all of our fears live and our phobias, but in Helheim it's about death and life. Because oftentimes when we fear death, we actually also, or instead, fear life. We know that we are not living life to the fullest because of fears. So it's a time of year to work a little bit on that and just sit with it. I don't mean that you have to question every aspect of your life and sit there and be like, okay, Koala, so what are your fears about death and life, and why don't you do this or that? That's not what I mean. I mean that we just sit with it. I just invite Hel and her energies, and I just sit with her and remember that her name is whole, and helande, making whole. So sitting with Hel is actually very, very healing, and her healing powers are tremendous. Last year, that was my biggest gain from working with her at this time of year. That was I can't believe it's been a year ago a whole year since I learned how to really receive. A year ago I had so much trouble to just sit and receive from other people, from the universe, from the goddesses, and just receive healing without feeling like I needed to actively receive, or, you know, do something or be worthy of it. So working with Hel is very, very healing, and just sitting with her and opening yourself up to receive and to become whole. That is what it's about, to invite her into your space. And I do this a lot during this time of year, especially on Hel's Eve. And one of the things I do is I invite her into sacred space, And for a few years now I've done this with other people in Swedish, so I've invited people into ceremonies, goddess ceremonies, where we invite the goddess of Hel in this case, and we attune to her, and we go into meditation and meet her on our turf. That is, we invite her into our space, and then when we are done we say thank you very much, goodbye. We don't go to the underworld of Helheim to meet her. Especially if you are new to this kind of practice, it's really a good idea to invite them into your space. It might feel like the opposite, but because it's the line between life and death, it's also the line between, you know, sane and sanity and those kind of things. And if you go too deep within yourself or within this world, you can get lost. You really need some experience, you really need to have worked with Hel for a while before you do that, or at least worked with the shamanic practice in the way of visiting different worlds and realms. So this is a very good new beginner's practice, and if you don't want to do it in your home, you can do it outside. So opening a sacred space, inviting the goddess into that sacred space, and letting her give you healing basically, or just give you advice or wisdom. And you can do this either with an open mind and an open heart like I do, and being a channel, in this case a channel for the goddess and her energies, for me to receive or for other people to receive. In goddess ceremony I'm a channel for everyone, so that I am the channel of the goddess's energies. And you can also do this by inviting her to your sacred space and using cards or runes or any other medium between you and the goddess if you don't want her to touch you, and you maybe the first time you just want to have some wisdom, have some messages from her about questions surrounding life and death, and surrounding maybe asking her via the runes or the cards, how can I work with my relationship with you in a way that makes me feel safe. And to always remember that the Nordic gods and goddesses are very straightforward, they're very on point, they are very they're not black or white, but it's like if you ask how can I strengthen my relationship with you in a way that makes me feel safe, the answer might be, well, what do you mean feel safe? Why don't you feel safe with me? You should ask yourself that before we even try to have a relationship. You might get like an answer that you don't want, because you might want to ease into a relationship with a god or goddess, and they are like, wow, excuse me, it's not my fault that you are afraid of me. So you make up your mind about that first, and then they often they can help you with that. Often we have fears connected to these different gods and goddesses that has to do with their energies, and we have to face them, which means that we have to face them in order to heal that, and to actually gain the strength and the courage to have that relationship. So it's really a paradox to ask those kinds of questions. But my point is that you don't have to meet them head on. You're the first time you invite them into a sacred space. You could just light a candle. You can invite them, light a candle. You can also like make the deal that they are welcome as long as the candle is lit, and then when you blow out the candle, they need to go home again. And then you could ask questions. You can find like tarot spreads on Pinterest or whatever, and just ask questions that you want to know, and then you say thank you very much, thank you for this time that we share together, I will see you next year, you know, or when I invite you next time. That's kind of my go-to. I always say I will see you when I invite you next time. Don't come to me unless I invite you. So that's like a beginner's tip. So now I've talked about who she is, my relationship to her, how I celebrate her, and how you also can celebrate her. And if you want to join me in goddess ceremonies in the way that I've talked a little bit about just now, we are starting off with Skadi on the winter solstice, or around there. I'm gonna try and find a good time and day for that suits English speaking people, so as well as myself. And yeah, so look out for that on my channel. There's gonna be a video with an introduction to goddess ceremonies from probably at the beginning of November. So in about a month's time, there's gonna be a video like that. After all of the October videos about mental health from a shamanic perspective, which is the theme for October on this channel. So yeah, thank you very much, and I will see you in my next video. And walk in beauty, walk with heal, like I do. Xingling.